Hey, deserving listeners, this is part 2 in my reaction to Vanderpump Rules, the conversation between Tom and Ariana about the infidelity. Let's get to it. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. Keep in mind that everything I'm saying is completely speculative based on very little information. So let's watch.
Be angry.
Okay.
You should still apologize.
I'm sorry. I didn't want to hurt you. I really did not want to hurt you.
You didn't want to hurt me, but then you continued to do something repeatedly over and over.
Right. Very healthy of Ariana. Yeah. Now, maybe for Tom, he's like, well, yeah, I didn't want to hurt you, but I clearly made a lot of choices. I don't think he's heading in that direction, but yeah, okay, you didn't want to hurt her, then break up with her. I want to put forth an hypothesis that we'll check in on. A very common reason for infidelity is that they will have a fear of hurting other people. And you might say like, well, but they cheated. Well, what happens for them is that in the moment, as they are heading down a road of infidelity, or they start heading down a road of questioning the relationship before the infidelity, they wonder, should I break up with this person? But then they immediately get terrified of hurting their partner by breaking up with them. And so they go into denial and engage in all these mental gymnastics to justify not breaking up with the person because they're terrified of hurting them. And then they secretly will go behind people's back to meet their needs because they're trying to figure out a way to make this work. And then they end up really hurting someone, right? The other hypothesis I'll throw out there that we'll look into is, of course, narcissistic personality that can lead to an impaired sense of empathy. The other hypothesis is psychopathy and antisocial personality. The other hypothesis is passive-aggressive personality disorder, which you can listen to my deep dive on that. Basically, in a nutshell, for these individuals, they were harmed growing up such that any kind of anger or any kind of disapproval that they had as a child and the parent was abusing them, any kind of self-advocacy was abused. And so they ended up submerging their self-advocacy and their anger, but they need some way of expressing their self-advocacy. They need some way of expressing their anger, and they will do it passively or in a hidden way, sometimes even hidden from themselves. And sometimes these individuals will engage in infidelity as a way of passively getting back at someone else. I don't know about Tom, but if we were to use Tom and Ariana as a backdrop for this, let's say Tom was very much abused growing up and he submerged his anger and he submerged his self-advocacy. And then in the relationship with Ariana, at a certain point, he is like, yeah, I don't really want to be in this relationship, but he can't express any of his needs to her. And so he submerges that and has a lot of built up anger at Ariana because he's not even giving her a chance to hear his needs. And then behind her back, he expresses his anger at Ariana by cheating on her. Now, of course, that doesn't make any sense, right? But I absolutely have seen that before clinically.
Hurt you. I really did not want to hurt you.
You didn't want to hurt me, but then you continued to do something repeatedly over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Dude, it happened.
That would hurt me.
It happened, and it didn't happen for a while.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so I could see how people watching this would think that there's something wrong with him. This is the norm. It's not universal, but cheating individuals, regardless of gender, believe me, when they are caught, they are still in a mode of denial. They've tricked themselves into, now I don't know, maybe there is something wrong with his personality and we'll look for signs. I actually can't diagnose from afar, but I can comment generally about things that we see. But it's very common for people, especially if the infidelity was prolonged, like 9 months, which is pretty common for a typical bout of infidelity, that they enter into this state of denial, this state of justification, and the state of blocking themselves off from other people's experience and the effect that they're having on other people, such that when they're caught, they still exhibit that. Because every day when they woke up in the morning, if they did have empathy, they would have to wrestle with that somehow, right? They would have to, do something mentally and emotionally to cope with the fact that they know they're doing something that is very wrong and very hurtful, but they still want to do it anyway, right? And so there'll be all these excuses, there'll be all these justifications. And so he's either exhibiting that, and then later on he'll, it's almost like you brainwash yourself into a cult of one person, where you browbeat yourself into believing that you're okay doing this sort of thing. And then you need some time to extract yourself from that cult once you are caught.
That girl is searching for identity in men. She has no identity of her own. Willing to stoop so low as to one of her best friend's life partners. And that's someone you think is like a good person you should be around?
I don't know how it happened. It happened.
Yeah. So it's upsetting because as a human being, it's upsetting. And then two, as a therapist, I've heard this before, and it's normal. It's expected. I've heard it a million times. I've heard worse from cheating partners. But it's just so common, and you hear something enough as a therapist, you're just like, oh, there's that thing again. He says, I don't know how it happened. It just happened. It's not possibly true. It's just can't. People will say that, say like, yeah, I don't know. Like one day it was just, no, you made literally thousands. And sometimes I'll literally walk the client through what likely happened. Maybe even I get the information from them. I'll say something like, typically what will happen for cheating partners is that they will notice that they are texting someone a little longer, or they are thinking about that person while having sex, or they're feeling a crush or something. They will notice that. We're not that unaware of our feelings. We might not want to admit that we have the feelings, but it doesn't take long to notice these kinds of things. And so when those things aren't necessarily your fault because they just emerged from within you, then you actually acted on those feelings. You texted her or whatever, you met up with her, you made the choice to kiss her, you made the choice to have sex, you made the choice to cover it up. There are thousands of choices in there that at any point in time, you could have made a different choice. Now, you might think, I don't have any choice of who I fall in love with. Okay, but you did have a choice to stay in a relationship with Ariana. By not breaking up with Ariana, that was a choice. Every day that you woke up and decided not to break up with Ariana or not tell her, that was a choice that you made. It didn't just happen. And I'm not saying this to ridicule you, but the sooner all three of us can agree on that reality, the faster we're going to move towards recovery, whether that it means the two of you being together, which is dependent on you, particularly Ariana, or you break up. It's important to have this acknowledged, not only for the two of you to have at least some goodwill moving forward, but also for you, Tom, to move into the future. If you are going to reduce the likelihood of you cheating again, you have to reckon with what actually happened. So as I'm saying these things because I care about you. It might feel harsh to you, but I'm trying to help you. That kind of thing.
We became really good friends. Like I was seeking something that I wasn't getting here. And that's selfish. It's really selfish.
Selfish is the nicest word you could use.
It's horrible. Me and Raquel became like really good friends.
I don't give a about Raquel! Your friendship is bullshit.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
It's bullshit.
Yeah, it makes sense. You can sense the trauma within her right now, the emotion, right? It looks genuine. A lot of reality TV has seemingly fake emotion. This doesn't look fake, right? And then he starts yelling back. You would think he would just either sit there or say, I just can't imagine given what he said thus far, but you would hope he would just say something like, yeah, I get it, and I'm sorry. And that's a lot of what is entailed in recovery when you're the cheating partner is, now, of course, verbal abuse or terror or physical abuse, of course, is not okay from the victim, but this doesn't look like that. And so she's raging, she's upset, and the best thing he could do is just listen and say, I get it, and I'm sorry. And I know, I understand how you feel. It makes sense that you would feel that way. And then she might say, you don't understand crap, and how dare you say that? And you don't argue. It makes sense that she would feel this way. Yeah. But yeah, he's in a not so subtle way justifying it. It's like, look, it just happened, and it's your fault because I get from Raquel what you didn't give me, so that's why I'm with her. It is a narcissistic or at least a selfish, and he says it's selfish. But you think there would be more there in terms of his apology, but which he still hasn't done.
It's disgusting.
You know everything. You know
disgusting.
Everything. Hey, everybody.
You are
This
disgusting.
person knows everything.
Your friendship with Raquel
anybody. You
is
can't,
disgusting.
You cannot tell. Well, guess what? It's real because she treats me with respect.
Yikes. Okay, fine. You want to be with Raquel. You don't want to be with Ariana. How about you break up with Ariana 9 months ago? So, yeah, that's fine. You didn't want to be Ariana. That has nothing to do with the cheating. That has nothing to do with the cheating. Nothing.
Something I haven't gotten from you in a long time.
So I'm the scapegoat.
I'm not saying you're the
Right. And that's, by implication, it's her fault that you cheated, Tom? Yeah. So either he's in denial and he doesn't have a personality disorder, or he has a personality disorder and he's exhibiting that right now. I don't know. I probably won't know by the end of this episode.
It wasn't the same, Ariana. We would be separated all the time. Like, you go your way, I go my way. We had no sex life. I lost all my mojo.
So my friend.
The thing that makes
My friend then. Get your mojo back, my friend.
Once I turned 40, I was like, this can't be the rest of my life.
Yeah, it's fine, Tom. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about you making thousands of choices to harm another human being, someone that you supposedly love. It's fine. You were wondering about the rest of your life. You didn't want to be with Ariana. Then you should have broken up with her.
Very normal thing.
I know.
That's why you go to couples therapy together. And we could have. We both have things. You either get through them together or you break up.
Yeah. And I also want to dispel another myth that I will see sometimes on the internet and sometimes in my office, that people will tell me in individual therapy that they are having thoughts of infidelity, that they are fantasizing about a particular person, they are texting an ex-partner, a former partner or something, and they're like, I think I'm heading down a road of infidelity. That means that I must not love my current partner. And that isn't necessarily true. I mean, what is love particularly? But I've been with many people through this, that what we will discover is that their urge to cheat actually doesn't have anything to do with the quality of their current relationship and has everything to do with some kind of suffering that they're going through. And when we address that suffering, the symptom of the suffering of the urge to commit infidelity actually goes away. Now, sometimes the urge for infidelity does indicate that the relationship has run its course, but it doesn't always mean that.
I tried to ask you, I tried to talk to you. Like, dude, these past few months, the amount of times that I got an apology out of you, I could count on one hand.
Last few months, you were already my friend. The truth is that you were
put
already
pressure on me to stay in the relationship. 2 weeks ago, I was like, Ariana, I want to end things.
Okay, well, 2 weeks ago. Pressure. Okay, yeah, we'll be open to what he has to say here, because that is something that happens where you have essentially an abusive partner that you want to break up with, but you're scared to break up with for various abusive reasons. And you might resort to cheating as a way of trying to achieve some kind of needs in your life or trying to extract yourself, which in those situations, infidelity might be somewhat justified, if not entirely. So he's making that accusation. I'm guessing that it doesn't have a lot of basis, but I'll be open.
And I want you to feel that deep in your soul. I want you to hear those words coming from the mouth of the woman that stood by you and loved you and was ready to build the rest of my life around you. Hear my words and know that that's how I feel about you. I regret ever loving you.
Yeah. Well spoken. Now, I'm going to hold out for the possibility that they might try to work this out between the two of them, which isn't unheard of and isn't necessarily unhealthy, because there seemed to be some indication of that. I don't know. So, yeah, makes it powerful.
I would have followed you anywhere. I would have changed any part of whatever you weren't happy with. I was 100% committed to you as of literally 2 days ago.
Okay, so he's crying, and tears can come from a lot of different places. It can come from empathy and remorse. It can also come from self-pity, which I hope it's not that, but everything he's saying thus far, take a guess and say that his tears are from self-pity. Like, I can't believe what she's saying to me right now, or I've been suffering for a long time, and so I'm crying about that. I don't know. The reason why I say that is because hasn't indicated at all that he actually understands what he's putting her through, what he did to her. He has only said, and again, this is normal. It's very tempting to look at this and say he must have a personality disorder, right? I'm sure a lot of people, I don't know, but I'm going to take a guess and say a lot of people are armchair diagnosing, maybe even other clinicians online, to be honest. And I'm telling you from experience that even those without a personality disorder or any significant personality disorder spectrum will say things like this because it's normal to have a view of yourself that is positive. It's normal to see things only from your perspective. It's normal to cut ourselves off from other people and not really internalize what they're trying to tell you, especially when it contradicts your self-perception. So there's a lot of possibilities as to why he is like this. Now, I'm not saying it's a good thing. Sometimes I will say something like, well, I don't know if he has a personality disorder, or I'll disagree. And people will be like, how dare you defend him? It's not defending someone by saying, I don't see a sign of a personality disorder. It's just a clinical observation. Everyone, you, me, Ariana, has the right to judge him independent of any sort of diagnosis we might be able to apply, right? And in a way, if he doesn't have personality disorder, it makes it worse. Because when you have personality disorder, it usually emerges from trauma. It doesn't justify it, but it at least provides some reason for the distortion and reason for the lack of empathy. If you don't have any justifiable reason for that, then in my book, it's worse.
What the hell's wrong with me? You can think whatever you want, but some really good times.
Okay, so he says, I don't know what's wrong with me. And then he says, you can think whatever you want about me, but we had some good times. The vibe is that of a younger person. And sometimes I will use this model of perception and assessment to try to frame what I'm observing, which is that the way that he's talking is the way a teenager might, or maybe even a younger person. It's normal for younger people, children, teenagers, to not fully take responsibility or understand the responsibility that they have to other people, maybe even attachment figures, right? Like their parents. And so when they commit a transgression, they don't really fully understand what other people are trying to tell them. I remember my parents telling me when I was in middle school, I remember my mom sitting me down and really trying to drill into my head how my behavior was affecting other people. She was trying to help me to be more considerate. I remember that word. And supposedly it worked, but it didn't work immediately. And I don't remember doing anything that bad, but I do remember those conversations. And so when we hear that kind of language, and we see this behavior, this exchange, it takes her really elaborating a lot and coming out a lot of different angles, explaining, being angry, and then being sad, before he finally is able to face that he's done something wrong. And when he says, I don't know what's wrong with me, I don't know what he means by that. Given what he said thus far, that could mean a lot of different things. It could mean something genuine and healthy that he would say, God, what is wrong with me? I mean, not wrong with him, but what is it about me that led to me doing this? I can't imagine that that's what it is, given what we've seen. There's another possibility that he is just saying things, or the other possibility is that he's been through a lot of trauma, and right behind that barrier to empathy is a vast sea of self-hatred. And I don't know, there seems to be some indication of that, but we'll watch further. And then he says, you can think what you want about me, but we did have some good times. I don't know. Does it make sense that that sounds like something that a child would say? Because he's focusing on, I think, her hurtful words, the hurtful things that she is saying to him. That's what he's focusing on right now. And it's like, well, you can think what you want, but we had good times together. Instead of at least partially extending himself into her shoes and exhibiting that he understands where those words would be coming from.
Broken hearts to dust.
Okay, well, I think I'll stop watching here. Let me know if you want me to continue watching this episode or whatever else you want me to watch. Maybe there's other scenes and other episodes that you can suggest. Or not, maybe that's all you wanted from me. I don't know. And everyone, please take care of yourself. Check in with your body. This can be pretty awful to be exposed to. We've all been betrayed. We've all been hurt. We've all been rejected. Some of us have been rejected in this way, and it can cause those things to reemerge. And when you check in with your body, you know your needs, and you can act on that by reaching out to people, talking about things. Maybe you have to talk with your therapist. Maybe you have to reprocess that infidelity that you were victimized by in the past. Maybe you need to hug your cat or something, or hug your partner, or ask your partner, hey, I need some reassurance that you truly love me and that you wouldn't cheat on me, that sort of thing. When you check in with your body, then you know your needs, you can act on it. And everyone, please take care of yourself in that way and all the other ways, because you deserve it. You really, really do.